2, 3. Hello and welcome to the Brainstorm Podcast. And now, your host, Sonny Perlman.
Today I sat down with AJ Jacobowitz, who is a new up-and-coming superstar in the field of helping people, especially teens who are struggling with difficult situations. What a pleasure to sit down with guys who are brand new, have fresh eyes, able to see this with a much fresher perspective. I absolutely enjoyed it. Hope you do too. We're live, AJ.
Just like that.
We're having a conversation. Talking about what we should talk about, but we're live. We're talking about books.
Yeah, books,
because I love books and you love books.
Books are fantastic.
So I was telling, what was I in the middle of telling you?
Telling me a trick for thrift shops.
Oh, it's a terrible trick though. Maybe I shouldn't say it on the podcast, but here's a trick. If you want to get great books from thrift shops, you go to very bad neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And you go to their book section. You go to their book section in the thrift shops, you'll find the best books ever. And the reason is because every bad neighborhood used to be a good neighborhood. And like the old people who die there where they donate all their stuff usually have really great, sophisticated books.
Right.
And everybody in bad neighborhoods don't read books.
Right.
They just
So you're basically saying where the education rate is low.
Right. You find where the
to.
education rate is really low. And I find incredible. I'll give you an example, like Dr. Seuss books for kids. Like, you can never find them. But if you go to a thrift shop in any bad neighborhood, you got the pick of the litter. You can get whatever you want. It's not nice. I'm not saying what type of bad neighborhood. I'm just saying any bad neighborhood.
Right.
Where education is not, like, considered, like, a priority, you can have great thrift shops for books. The clothing is garbage. Don't go there for clothing.
No.
You go for the nice neighborhood for the clothing.
And you go to the bad neighborhoods for the books.
This is special lessons for thrift shops.
No,
anyway,
you're speaking about books, by the way.
Yes.
It was it's a side topic, but totally like whatever. So I used to teach last year, in Chassidish school. Babov.
Right, Babov.
And we were talking about the whole education, and there was the whole thing with the government, and we were just having a conversation about there is an author of it may have been Mark Zuckerberg. It was a different, like, young, up-and-coming millionaire.
Mark Zuckerberg is an author?
No. So I don't know if it's him. There's
Okay.
a book written about, basically, that there's a township in New Jersey where, basically, the school system is so bad that, basically, the entire payroll of the school system is this lady. She's the secretary. Her husband is also the janitor, the custodian. And then his best friend is the snowplow driver. And his wife does the payroll. And basically the whole school system in this township, in this neighborhood, is basically each one is feeding off each other. And for some reason, the education rates there is like the lowest in the country. Okay. And this guy, this millionaire, came in. And he basically said, I'm willing to give you $250 million to redo your entire school system, but it has to be done my way.
Okay.
And they turned him down.
Okay.
Because then every single person would lose their jobs.
So you're saying, like, no, everybody just get kicked out because they're terrible.
Basically, everybody's terrible. The teachers are terrible. Everybody and their aunt works for the school, and these schools in some capacity. But this entire book is basically written saying that this is corrupt, a section of it. I don't know why it came up in my brain as soon as you were talking about books and low education rates, but I guess book education rate.
What I'm hearing in that story is two groups of people that do not care about the kids.
Basically.
Meaning, if that rich person really cared about the kids, he'd come in and figure out how to do it with the existing people there.
Right.
But he didn't. He wanted to make a point. And the other guy...
They just wanted...
And they don't care about the kids because they want their jobs.
Right. They just want to put food on their table.
So who loses in this situation?
The children.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that billionaire as a big hero.
He's no savior in this situation.
I'm saying you come into a situation where you have people there and you decide you're going to come in. Elon Musk is like, I'm going to fix Twitter and then come in and fire everybody. I don't know what happened with that.
No, tonight he reinstated Donald Trump, actually. And I don't know if you get political on your podcast.
Wait, no. Tell me about that. I'm
No,
serious.
so I was looking at my phone before.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk put up a poll tonight of should Donald Trump be reinstated as the 45th president of America. And the national vote was yes. I can show you right now.
What do you mean reinstated?
Should Donald Trump, here, Twitter CEO Elon Musk has reinstated the account of former U.S. President Donald Trump. And if you look right here, he has an entire thing where he did a poll. Yes or no? Was the election stolen? Was there a thing?
Oh, you're saying that he went on the election stolen thing?
That's what it sounds like, and that's what it looks like. It's crazy. He wrote
Just for fun?
Yeah, the people have spoken. Trump will be reinstated. I think he wasn't talking about maybe the.
Is he talking about Twitter or
I think
president?
he was talking about Twitter. He may have said, "Should he be reinstated?"
About president or Twitter? I'm very confused here.
Okay, it's about Twitter.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because it got me confused also.
Elon Musk is not going to take a side on that,
No,
is
he
he?
will not take it. I mean, I hope not.
What's a side? They had a long time to figure out if it was stolen, and they haven't. So what is the problem here? What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? I want to know.
You want to get political?
Could I say something about political? Yeah.
I don't see.
Let's
it's so
talk
funny,
political for a second.
For a second, because I'll be completely honest.
Yeah.
I know social workers were supposed to be political activists.
Okay.
I like to stay.
Are they?
I mean, in school, we're taught, if you look in your basic social work policy, we're supposed to be community advocates. We're supposed to be.
How is that political?
So I'll give you an example that's on the in one of the textbooks, is that a community where, let's say, crime rates are high and the mayor is corrupt. So the community members of a low income, community come together and they ask a social worker to lead a petition to go to this mayor. So like there's a certain, according to real social work text,
Advocacy.
we're supposed to be advocates.
Right.
But imagine you're a social worker and your political views are with this mayor. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're supposed to get involved politically, technically, in advocating.
I never thought of that. I've been a social worker for a long time. I didn't know that. When I was in school, so you remember this closer.
Yeah.
I found that the professors were like ridiculous left wing. There was no like social work school, very, very left wing professors. I can't say I'm left or right. I'm definitely somewhere in the middle. But some topics I'm left and some topics I'm right. Sometimes I think I'm a little more left than right, but which is a little weird to say as an Orthodox Jew. You get into trouble for that.
Corporal punishment.
That's
our little.
Yeah, no. Sometimes I'm very right, like the corporal punishment stuff. Although I heard Trump isn't the corporal punishment now.
What does he want to do with the?
He wants to kill the drug leader,
Yeah,
the drug
crazy.
dealers. I don't know if he's saying that or that's just his way to get everybody excited.
I feel like the dude is just trying to get people excited. But back to school.
But in the school, for me, the students were kind of a mix.
Right.
It wasn't all left. But I think by the time we graduated, everybody was pretty much left. Like we've all been like trained.
You went to Wurzweiler, right?
Yeah, and we did not get. You really couldn't say a right wing opinion in school. Like it was really hard to say it.
So
You'd be in trouble.
Because
what was your experience?
So my experience was started near the From Men's program.
Right.
So all our professors were from.
So that's
So
the weirdest social work program of all time.
Literally, but also if you're going for anything clinical, private practice, working with addiction and substance abuse or anything in regards to that, theory-wise, it was fantastic because all the policy classes and welfare classes were all asynchronous. So
what do you mean asynchronous?
You do it on your own. There's no class. There's a curriculum.
Yeah.
And you have to have an assignment every week, and you have to do it on your own. So you obviously have to read and do the work to pass this class.
You didn't have a professor?
So we did have a professor, but he didn't have class. He graded your paper and sent out exactly what you're supposed to do. What's the assignment?
Right, okay.
So all of those classes that a lot of schools put emphasis on, they just did that asynchronously. So we just did the work. But practice class, I mean, Kiwi was my professor for 2 semesters.
Right.
Shout out Kiwi. And Menachem Poznansky was.
There you
was
go. Oh,
was
he's
the
coming on
subs-
soon.
Oh,
Very
really?
exciting.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, he was awesome. I mean, Kiwi was awesome as well, but just like,
I don't think you need to put them up against each other.
no, if we would have a bet, no, we're not doing that.
They don't have to. They're both awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Kiwi better because my brother.
Nepotism.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm also your employee, so I probably shouldn't give an answer.
Yeah,
on
don't
this.
mess. Don't mess.
So most of our classes were basically, there was never really anything political involved. I mean, guys tried to get political, and most of the time people were just like most of you are all right-wing conservative Orthodox, Jews,
Right.
which is just how it is generally. And it's just we're not here to talk about political views in class, basically, unless it's necessary for learning. So we tried to skip over that, or at least.
But I can say nowadays it is so hard to get around having a political conversation. I think for the first 30-something years of my life, I did not have one political conversation.
I don't think it mattered. I mean,
I don't know if it mattered or it didn't matter. I didn't care, and nobody cared that I didn't care. Like, nobody cared. Like, oh, you're not political? Okay.
right. Well,
Somebody said to me the other day, I'm apolitical. I'm like, oh, I guess there's a name for what I am. Like, I don't really care what the political situation is. Or now, I mean, first of all, you're 23.
Yeah.
The fact that you have
just throw my age out there. Yeah.
you're the youngest clinical director of Our Place ever. Let's get down to it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Sure.
But at 23, I didn't know anything about politics. I was trying to raise a young family. I didn't care about anything political.
Right. No, for me also, it's just like it's so much.
You're trying to raise yourself.
All right, I'm trying to become a better man, learn in my profession, and help people. But I think just politics sometimes can just be like it takes over people's lives. Like there are some people who sports is their thing, or they like reading, like we were discussing before.
Right.
And then there are some people that I know personally who politics is like they are on Twitter, they're on the news, they're following these things constantly. That's their like enjoyment.
Right.
And in today's day and age, it's easier than ever. You're saying 30 years. For 30 years, you didn't have to do anything. But your news was the Wall Street Journal, and you turn on the news at night on your TV.
I never watched or listened or
Right.
read any news.
I'm saying U.S.
Till
and-
today.
Right.
Actually.
Well, the news is basically just crime that's going on, basically, and the weather and sports. But, the point is that, like, now your political information comes from Truth Social, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. All this stuff is accessible to everybody. So now everybody has an opinion. And if you don't have an opinion, you're like, come on, you don't have an opinion?
Right.
Like, come on, Sonny.
That's my experience.
right.
And the truth is, I have opinions about everything. You could tell me something for about 30 seconds. I will form an opinion and be very passionate about
Right.
it. But I never really thought about it before. But I think I'm much more political. I finally went and voted
Okay.
for the first time ever.
Right.
That was when Hillary and Trump.
2016.
2016?
2016, yeah. It was Hillary and Trump.
I didn't vote for either of them, but I voted.
Okay. So you just put Sonny Perlman on the ballot.
No, I did another guy, the libertarian guy. Johnson, maybe his name was. He was irrelevant then, and he's more irrelevant now. So
The point was to go out and vote.
the point is that when Hillary Clinton didn't divorce her husband, I was so angry at her. I was like, "You're only doing this for political gain." And the truth is, I don't know why that should bother me so much, but this is when it happened.
Right.
And I was young. I'm not so young. I was married already, but like
I wasn't
this
even
whole
around.
situation, you weren't even around. I was just so like, it was so exposing of what's happening. Like, I like the idea, like the president's a nice guy, and keep it fake. I know JFK is doing terrible things, but don't
Right.
tell me about it. Let's make pretend he's good. And then here's a situation where Bill Clinton's like just a chayara, like just
It's
horrible.
out there. It's
Everybody
everybody knows.
knows, and she's standing by her man. I was like, I like the Princess Di thing. Like, Princess Di didn't like her husband, she divorced him, and everybody loved her for it.
Right.
I'm not pro-divorce because the husbands got into problems with her, but I was so upset because it was so obvious that this whole thing was a political sham. And I said, when she goes for president, I'm going to vote against her.
Right. Well, it's also we want to see.
But then I couldn't vote for Trump, so I voted someone else.
Well, because he's not the paradigm of stability and all these not scandals. I'm saying he's been divorced 3 times.
Yeah,
because when we look to
I think
a
it's
leader,
2 times.
when we look to a leader, I mean the same thing that you're thinking. We're looking for stability and safety, and somebody who has a scandal or that sort of thing. To us, that's like this person is, he shouldn't be in high office. Which is in reality,
I don't know. I it's not that I have an issue with scandal. It's all the lying about all this stuff. It's like, yeah.
I'm saying our profession is literally to work with people who we see the beauty in human beings who even with the things that they've done or it happened to them or other things like that, we still see the beauty in them.
Right.
And
let's get to our profession.
Yeah. I'm saying that's like.
So you ready? You're out of school. You have another perspective. I'm very excited. One of the things I like to have, one of the types of people I like to have on the podcast are new people in the field. Even though it's hard to get me to, like, we've been planning this for 6 months? I don't know.
Yes.
You're like, oh, we're doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah. Well, I said I'm in Muncie. Let's go.
We're going for it. But me, I'm like the aged, burnt out, old fogey therapist who's trying to like change the world in my own way.
Right.
And I like talking to the, and working with,
right,
like the new blood, the excitement. Like I come into our place now. I hired you as the clinical director, and when I come in and you got that smile on your face, you wear this dumb shirt that says "Smiley" on it. And what is this Smiley shirt? One second, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
You know what?
Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about this. Why do you wear a shirt that says "Smiley" on it?
Okay, so I actually found this shirt. I needed to buy some stuff. So I tell you this all the time when I come into our place. I try to come as comfortable as possible because I know if I'm sitting on the couch with some guy and I'm wearing, dress shoes and button-down shirt or whatever it is, like I'm not gonna. I gotta be comfortable.
Yeah,
I was looking for buy comfortable clothing, whatever it is. So it's a sweater. It said Smiley, and I'm like, it's perfect. I love smiling. I love I think it changes a person. There's this one guy down in our place, one of the teens. He always comes over to me. He calls me Smiley.
Right. Before the shirt or after?
Before the shirt.
Oh.
Before the shirt. And there was some part of my mind that when I saw the shirt, I'm like, I gotta buy this and come in, see what he says about it. It'll make the bit even better. But he always tells me, why are you always smiling? Why are you always you're so happy? Like, well, what's there so much to be happy about? And I always found when you greet, not only when you greet somebody with a smile, and I'm not talking about Breslov, or I don't know if you want to get into, that whole thing about happiness and,
What is
I'll
it
pay
to
the
get
Torah.
into?
No, I'm saying
Okay.
You could even, I don't know if you want to.
You could go wherever you want.
Yeah.
I don't have a place I'm going.
I was saying last week it's happiness, right? Breslov, be happy.
Right.
There's a mitzvah to be happy. And they talk about, you read all these inspiring pamphlets that they hand out on Shabbos, during laning. And it always
The Breslov pamphlets?
I'm talking about Stam, the regular pamphlets they hand out.
Okay.
There's always, once a week, there's always some story about somebody who smiled and saved another person's life because he had a terrible day. And, he smiled and the guy's like, oh, you changed my life. So, to me, smiling is always when you greet somebody and you smile, or you're talking to somebody and you're not down, even if you're half smiling or whatever it is, it changes people's perspectives. They're looking at you, and they automatically get happy. Last week's Parsha, it talks about, I don't know, I like this, to talk about this because it's part of, why I try to be happy, whatever it is. To get Nevuah, you had to be happy. If you were sad...
That was
in
last week's Parsha?
It says that Sarah laughed, and when she heard that she was having a kid, right? She was 90 years old. So one of the Mefarshim says that the reason why she laughed is because... you have to be happy to be able to get a nevuah and a bracha like that.
Right.
And for it to be Mekoyim, she had to be happy. So, it's the vart is that you should be happy.
That's a stretch. I like that. That's a Chassidus
It's a
Shavar
real
right there.
You ever need a vart, any Chassidus Shavar? I'm big into Chassidus.
Oh, you got that.
Yeah, big.
Because in Navi, that's what it was. It used to be David HaMelech used to play for show, music, to make him happy, so he could have Nevuah.
Right, and even with the Shmuel, I'm saying he had to be happy as well. I think Eli in Shmuel, it talks about how he taught, he had to be in a happy place, in a good place to be able to receive nevuah. And I think that you can take it further than nevuah because most of us are not getting nevuah today, and most of us are not Naveem, I don't know about you, Sonny.
No, sometimes I hear things. I question myself. I don't like to admit it to people.
Listen, the voice is. We won't
Not
talk
gonna
about
about
that.
voice.
But to me, like when you come down to our place, right? Some of these guys, or even, well, let's talk about our place for this scenario. And you come down, and some of these guys, some of them work, some of them don't. Some of them are struggling in school, some of them are struggling at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just go over, you give them a hug and a smile, their face lights up.
Right.
You know, like you don't even have to say anything more than, hey, what's up? And you're smiling, and they're already in a happier place. So that's something that small can really affect somebody. And I think that if I can, so this shirt I happen to think represents me a little bit, smiley. But I think that if that's like the one thing I can do right away, right off the bat, like when I'm meeting with somebody, or somebody comes in, or I'm doing a registration, right, with a new guy.
Right.
You smile, you give him a, hey, what's up? How are you doing? What's your name? I'm AJ. Nice to meet you. Automatically, it becomes from like, this kid's all nervous, right? He's coming.
So what's interesting? You went to how many years of school for social work? Just 2 years?
18 months. Yeah, I was talking too much for
2
that.
years?
Yeah.
No. On the same topic.
Yeah.
At any point,
Yeah.
did somebody talk about smiling?
No.
Isn't that fascinating? You're meeting with people. I'm just,
Yeah.
I was talking
You're
about
not
this
wrong.
right now.
I'm thinking about this also. Like,
And you had good professors.
Yeah.
First of all, they for sure don't talk about hugging because you're not supposed to hug.
Right.
That's like off limits. Now our place has different, like we have different rules on this. And obviously we could talk about it. You can't just hug everybody. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
Some people are, get alarmed and you got to work your way in.
Yeah.
But forget about hugging. That idea of smiling. Isn't that fascinating? Like I was sure that none of your professors took half a session and talked about the idea that you just talked about.
I don't even think so. I mean, most of the time, and ours was more clinically based.
Yeah.
And more theory based. And we're talking about how, like, when you're listening to, like, one of the things, like, they had to, like, one of the professors felt the need to, like, tell us tips and tricks of how to, like, let a client know that you're listening to them. So he's like, oh, you cock your head to the side and you narrow your eyes a little bit. Like I'm doing right now. Too.
Right.
It looks like I'm like focusing in on you, which in reality, when you do something like that, you do.
Feels like I'm being patronized, but go on.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
But you're right.
They actually get. I never got that either.
I remember having a class about that.
That seems so manufactured. Maybe that's why I don't talk about smiling. Keep smiling.
Right. No, but I don't think it was sort of like, because some of the guys who came into the program, I think like some of them were like so gung-ho about therapy and so gung-ho about becoming a therapist, they didn't know the basics of just like listening to somebody, which is something that we as therapists and we as social workers need to work on all the time, of just making sure we're present and in the room and listening. But at the same time, like some people the way they listen is they just stare off into space and just, they're listening to you, but it doesn't look like they're listening to you.
That's not listening.
Well, I mean, yeah, but some people claim that they're listening to you.
Well, we have something. I don't know if I'm allowed to bring up ADHD, but we'll get. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see. I know you told me. Actually, that wasn't appropriate at all.
I'm a big advocate.
But I have a bit of ADHD.
Yeah.
My family thinks I have a lot of ADHD.
Okay.
I've never been diagnosed.
So you're in denial.
Yes, I am a deeply closeted ADHD person. So, when I was in school, maybe over 20 years ago, for my drug counseling, this is like early on, and we were doing this mock session where I was listening, and I always consider myself a very good listener.
Right.
And I was listening to this woman who was another woman in my class, and I was the therapist, and she was, the client. And I'm listening. I thought the session was going great. And at some point, at the end of the session, we analyzed it, and she said, "I didn't think you listened to me for 1 second." And I'm like, "Really? I was there." Right. She said, "You had a pen in your hand, and you were clicking it the whole time."
Right.
So I didn't even recognize it because of my ADHD style stuff. Not that I have it, but I'm saying, I have certain stylish things. I do it on purpose. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't even recognize it, and I'm clicking this pen.
Right.
And here I am. I ruined the whole session. Not because, and I was looking, and I was smiling, and I was concentrating, asking the right questions, and really engaging, and realizing that hit me so hard, and I'm so happy it happened so early on in my career that, any tiny little thing can make you think I'm not interested. So if someone's looking off into space,
Right.
you're for sure not listening.
But that's why I think you may say it sounds manufactured, but to some people, not understanding that when you're in a session with a client and you're in with a in-person perspective, right?
Right.
And you're sitting there and you're not looking like you're focusing. Like it may seem manufactured, but if I'm talking to you and it's something important, right? And I'm focusing on you, even tilting your head a little bit or just focusing in, it makes a big difference. Because if I'm pulling out my phone or I'm looking off into the side, there's obviously appropriate amounts of eye contact that are supposed to be made in conversations. Mm-hmm. But if you're busy looking around and paying attention, looking at your shoes and looking at the ceiling, you're listening to somebody that may be condescending. So it may sound manufactured, but it is important for people to realize, I think.
It's interesting that it's something that has to be taught, but it is interesting that it has to be taught.
Well, I'm saying think about from you thought you were listening.
Yeah.
There you're busy tapping your pen.
And tapping my pen. But it does have to be taught. And I learned it in that,
It's a good thing it happened in a mock session and not a real session.
I'm sure it's happened in real sessions too, in different ways.
Right.
But I've had clients let me know as well.
Right.
I had one client, he used to, I always thought that I could do like a couple of comedy bits about old clients and like how they were, but it's really not nice.
Right.
But I had one client that would rate my sessions at the end of every session. Literally. It wasn't like a one. He would give me like a rating, like a like a Yelp review.
Score.
It was like
Dave Portnoy.
Yeah.
9. This is a 7.5.
I wish Dave Portnoy was around because he would have given me like a better rating. Like it would have been funnier or less. But he would literally like this session. It's maybe like a 3 out of 5. I think you weren't listening. He would like go through at the end of every session.
He'd rate you on each, like you were listening this much. And
right? Yeah. He said, "Listen, I thought for advice it was very good. For listening, not very good." He would get every session. I think one session he was about to leave and didn't say anything. And I'm like, "How'd I do?"
But I had a professor who told me that he wanted to get feedback. I mean, it's the best kind of feedback from your clients.
Right.
And he made a paper, and he would give it to his clients at the end of every session, and put it on a scale of 1 to 10.
Right.
Of how you thought the listening was, how you felt and he would get actual feedback. And he said it's the hardest feedback because if it's from an honest client and they felt a certain way, but he said at the same time it's the best way to grow because you're getting honest feedback on the spot from a person telling you I didn't feel like you were listening. Then you have to sit and say, okay, so why wasn't I present?
Right. I would do that and then scold them the next time. Like,
first of all,
I was no 4 for listening. It was at least a 9. I didn't even want to listen, and I pushed myself. I just want to let you know that.
I had such a long day, but I still sat there.
I sat there, and you have the discounted rate. You don't.
I feel like
you
we're
don't deserve.
We're going to be turning off listeners to therapy.
Okay, therapy's awesome. Listen.
Yeah.
Tell me about your job in our place. Okay, I mean I said it earlier, but you're the new clinical director of the teen program specifically, which I didn't mention, is that Our Place has always been a teen program, but over the years we've developed into a teen and adult program, and I was always running both, but I felt that they have to be split, and we hired you to be the clinical director. Which means, you worked by us as an intern. Yep. You were so impressive. I'll say this live so you could blush a little bit. That I hired you to be the clinical director of the teen program. And you got a really cool staff going on.
Fantastic
new staff. And it's all brand new, redecorating Our Place. And actually, it's not, it looks like we actually have another location for...
Are we talking about this live?
I don't know if we're talking about live. But we will probably be separating locations. Maybe when this comes out, it'll already have happened. That'll be cool.
Who knows? That's the nevuah we were talking about before.
What do you mean?
I'm saying the nevuah is that when this comes out, maybe that'll have already
happened. Who knows?
We're in the future.
We are we are sending out great vibes that it will have already happened. But
Crossing our fingers.
Right, the adult program, the kids program, the teens program, and you're running the teens program.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there. So how's it going? Tell me about it.
It's fantastic. It really is. I'm happy to have a job that I don't look at as a job. I look at it as an honor and something to be able to come into something every single night excited about what's going on, what's going to happen tonight, what are we going to do, even if we're just sitting around and talking on the couch watching a football game, there's something exciting happening.
Right.
Or we could be going on a trip, or we could be having, I mean, I told you about this teen town hall. We're having one tomorrow night, Sunday night. This was, I think it was Bruce's idea on the staff, you know.
Right.
To have, we just sit down together in a room, in the main room by the dining room. We have all the teens and some of the staff, and we just talk, and anything comes up. What could we change? What could we add to our place? What could we do new? What do you think should we buy this game for the Xbox? Should we have this movie for movie night? This food, should we get Our Place slippers? That was Shim's idea.
Our Place slippers?
Shim wants Our Place slippers.
Shim loves slippers. He really loves slippers.
We should get him green Jets Our Place slippers.
By the way, I'm all for Our Place slippers. I'm not officially agreeing that we should do it on the podcast.
I can make the order right now.
Because that's how the orders work. But slippers sound like a really great idea.
So he had slippers, somebody else wanted slides. So I haven't decided if we're doing slides or slippers.
How cool would that be if we make slippers and then we do slipper night?
Everybody comes in slippers.
Like on Wednesday night, you have to switch to slippers.
And we should have like you have by the you ever been to the Lubavitcher Rebbe's oil? You have to put your shoes, you take a pair of Crocs. There's like shelf. Gotta put your shoes in. Gotta take a pair of slippers.
Take a pair of slippers.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron does it. Aaron and Shim.
Aaron and Shim both do that.
They change. I also come now recently.
That's
I've been coming in furry slippers. Comfortable.
Yeah, I've seen your furry slippers. What is happening in our place? This staff is getting very relaxed.
We're a relaxed place if you think about it.
Oh, I like this slipper night idea. Let's get slippers.
Let's get it on. All right, we'll talk to the activity director.
We'll talk to the activity director and order some Our Place slippers.
Let's get it done. But yeah, these even different things that are going on besides for just trips. You know, we have these different nights going on and these different things. I mean, we have self-defense, Tuesday nights.
Right.
It's funny because Yehuda got a shout out last time. He gets a shout out again. Yehuda Klinkowitz shout out.
There you go. What was the shout out last time? Hey, Vay.
I don't know. I just remember
he got a shout out.
He got a shout out. Or he's shouting him out.
Yuda never wants to come on the podcast, but he's a legend.
Yeah.
He does great stuff.
Maybe
so shout out to you.
Make sure everybody shouts him out every time.
Yeah.
Start off every podcast. Shout out Yehuda Klinkowitz.
I don't know what I would do without him. He's awesome.
You know what? Same. He was my supervisor before you in our place.
Right. That's right.
I learned so much under him. And still continue to, which I think is amazing that I have that opportunity still. Yeah. To, not only with you, but with Yehuda and everybody there. That's there. Everybody's obviously been staff longer.
Yeah. How do you like the staff? Like, what's the experience in our place as like the people that work there with you and all that?
You can learn from every single staff member, just like you can learn from every single teenager from our place. Obviously in different things, but you can learn from everybody there.
You see, this is why I like talking to you, man. No, when I was saying...
You're just boosting my ego the whole night, and I'm just, like, so uncomfortable.
It's good. I'm going to boost you. No, I loving it because I'm so old. I want to hear the young...
I didn't say that I get inspired by you.
Hey, shh. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Joking.
I'm talking about the enthusiasm for the work that I've been doing for 25 years. Like, you're coming in with this fresh face, fresh ideas, fresh everything. Right. And I'm the guy who says no now. Like, I'm the bad guy, right. Like, I'm the bad guy, but I don't mind. I love just seeing the excitement. You and Bruce and Daniel, and these guys are like, you're rocking. Shim has got much more youth than I do, even though he's not that much younger than me.
Right.
But he's got much more enthusiasm. And we got this group of people that are like super excited.
Yeah. I mean, everybody there, especially the staff. Aaron told me, I told you this before, Aaron told me Thursday night, it's rocking. Our Place these days. I mean,
Yeah.
you come in and there's always something happening. There's something going on. There's a group in the back doing something. There's 5 guys huddled around trying to get next in Fortnite on the PS5. In the gym, the music room, the back in the TV, the smoking room. Everywhere there's something happening, and it's so pleasant.
Yeah.
And it's like exciting.
And the food's been off the hook.
The food's been off the well. We have some new menu items.
Yeah.
Also. We got big night tomorrow night, Schnitzies.
I think the only
Really
reason
exciting.
I come now is just for the food is so good.
Yeah, but you come Tuesday night to
I'm just
pizza.
kidding.
I know you're a pizza guy.
No, they have
but-
good pizza.
Oh, great
They
pizza.
switched the pizza.
Yeah,
Where's
Benny-
the pizza coming from?
Benny's.
It's coming from Benny's.
Right across the street. We got also
Yeah, it's
pasta.
a good
We
pizza.
got some pasta also from there.
What does Dave Portnoy say about Benny's?
I know he rated Pizza Time. I don't know if he's made it to
That
Benny's
was like
yet.
the knockers of all Jews.
I know.
Oh,
Everybody.
when he did that. It was a good score, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember the score.
I don't remember the score either.
What knockers I felt.
Yeah. He's Jewish also, I think.
Yeah, but he's not like,
No,
he's
not even.
not like any
No.
religion at all.
No.
Just Jewish.
But yeah, you mentioned the food.
Yeah.
I mean, even that's like when we get a menu change or add something new, whatever. There's little things that are exciting, but make a huge difference. And I think that could even go back. If we're going to go Basar Me'ikara.
Okay.
Throwing out the yeshiva side of me.
Love it.
I'm making you go back to yeshiva right now.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm fine.
The smiling thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's a little thing that really, just a little food change or just that's little town hall meeting that we have Sunday nights. There's nothing involved in the planning, right? Me, Bruce, well, I'll be proper grammatically, but Bruce, Danielle, and I, and sometimes you'll say,
Good for you for the grammatical fix there.
listen, I'm live on a world famous podcast. I
That's
gotta
right.
sound somewhat educated.
That's true. You got to be very educated. What's your point? Sorry.
So I'm saying,
I was very impressed with the grammatical fix.
had to hold myself back there. So we just sit down and there's no planning involved. I'm saying if we get a platter of sushi, if we get something else going on, right, it adds a little bit. But there's no extras. It's just we sit down and we talk. And that's exciting
Right.
because just as much as we want to develop a relationship with these guys, they want to do so with us as well.
What's the point of all this? Let me hear your. What's the point of all this?
Well, it depends.
I'm taking the outside approach.
You're taking the
As
outside
if I
approach.
don't work there.
Well,
with
do you want your mushal that you gave me, or you want to hear? I mean, there's 2 mushal that we always do. You want the bungee cord?
You could do whatever muscle you want.
I'm saying
if you
this-
learn something from me, I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
Nice.
So besides for the car with the tank of gas, that was your original teaching to me.
That's right.
But we spoke about this recently as well. The bungee cord.
Yeah.
About our job is basically
Wait, can I give a shout out for this particular muscle? Is not from me.
it's not yours.
It's not from me.
Oh, I'm
I got
disappointed
it.
now.
Again, over 2 decades ago, I got this muscle from Zalman Mendel, which you don't know who he is.
No.
Did a lot of great work with teenagers early on. I have no idea where you are, Zalman. But I'd love to have him on the podcast.
Zalman, come reach out to Sonny.
Truth
His
is, I'm
phone
gonna
number
reach
is-
out. I'm gonna reach out to him. I'm gonna find him. He's really a legend. He's an old school legend, but I haven't spoken to him in ages. Absolutely brilliant, wonderful person. But he's the one who gave this muscle. Now that you mentioned
bungee
it.
cord?
Yeah, let me hear the bungee
So
cord muscle again.
So I'm saying the bungee cord muscle, which is not from Sonny, disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is that a lot of these guys are going through difficult times, regardless. It could be family, it could be substances, it can be emotional, it can be physical, it could be really a lot of different factors that are leading to mental health issues. And we're that cord that when you go bungee jumping and you jump off that ledge and you're falling and you're falling and you're falling, that cord's that only thing that's keeping you back from falling all the way down. Did I say it over correctly?
Pretty much, yeah.
And
I think the point is that people are like, how do you stop him from falling right now? And sometimes you can't.
right.
I think that's the part of the muscle that I love the most.
Right, and that's why I also love Yehuda's mashal as well.
What's
Yehuda's
Yehuda's
mashal
mashal?
to me is that when you have a guy,
Allegory for anybody who doesn't. Although there's so much Jewish stuff dropped in this podcast.
I feel like we're a Torah class. No,
There you go. So, yeah.
The
What's
the-
Yehuda's?
Yehuda's thing is that when a guy falls, right? When you're jumping on the trampoline, those trampoline parks, there's padding. in between. So in case you fall, you hit the padding instead of hitting something hard.
Like the springs?
Yeah, the springs or anything like that.
Right.
So like Yehuda's Marshall is sort of also similar. His allegory.
Allegory. Oh, I love when people do that. Like big readers, they don't know how to say things. Oh,
I have a great story for that after.
Okay.
I'm willing to take a shot at myself for that. But this allegory is that like when you fall, we're that pillow, we're that cushioning, that we're there, that we may not be able to stop the falling, but we can at least soften it as much as we can to help them.
Okay.
In the best possible way.
I like the bungee cord more.
Yeah, even though it's not yours.
Even though it's not mine.
And Yehuda, if I said this wrong, my apologies.
Sorry, Yehuda. No, I like it, but it still sounds like the landing on us. You know what I mean? I feel like we're
more than landing. We're the cord.
We're holding. I don't know. It just seems more loving to like be holding on no matter how far down they go.
Right. I feel like you could use a parachute for this also.
Parachute?
Jumping out of a plane and your parachute fails. Backup parachute.
I also like the bungee cord thing because you actually go back down a couple times. It's not like you're saved immediately. The bungee cord one is just beautiful.
It's deep. It's deep
because you get caught and you're like, oh, someone's holding me.
And then you fall again.
But that guy's holding me. So now I know it's not. The second time you fall on the bungee cord is not as scary.
Right.
Like, oh, it saved me that time. It's going to save me again.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot to this.
This is much deeper than
I didn't go very deep, but the bungee cord one is, I think, as close to it is. You know what? I'm going to say another one. I said this to somebody recently. Because one of the things I used to get very upset about early on when I realized, when I thought I still had an ego until it was crushed into nothing by my field. No, I'm kidding. But I used to get upset because ourplace, in particular, and that was most of what I did, even though the other stuff I did, but ourplace was most. We don't really get the credit for helping people. This is something you might find or not find.
I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah?
Maybe continue, because I don't remember exactly.
I don't remember if I told you this, but not this Marshall, because I got this Marshall from someone else. I'm going to give that guy some credit. Anyway, so I get a little depressed about it, because I get a guy, and he's working in our place, and we give him years and years and years and then we send them to a big yeshiva, or they end up in like a fancy rehab, whatever. The person at the end is getting the credit.
Right.
And I'm like, I spent 10 years with this guy, working my brains off, and everybody else gave up on him to try to get him to the next step. And then, so you would get frustrated earlier on. Now I don't care, whatever. I know what I do. Thank God.
Right. As long as you know what you're doing.
I know I'm fine. My wife likes me. So this one guy, who was it? Rabbi Mitch Levy. I don't know if you know Rabbi Mitch Levy. He hasn't been around a little while.
Part of the perks of being so young in the field is you're only learning all these new people.
All the old legends.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ruach HaTorah.
Okay.
Well, he was working in Ruach HaTorah at the time. And he told me this awesome mashal, which was that at the bris, who's the most popular person at a bris? Sandik. He's awesome. He sits up there. He's got to be the most chashuv. He holds the baby, and bracha comes through him, and all that stuff. And the thing is, who's the most important person in the bris is the kvater. Is the person who passes the baby. They bring the woman brings the baby, and then the man gets the baby, and he brings the baby up. Why? Because if the kavata drops the baby, you got no bris.
You got no bris.
So it doesn't help to have a son.
You did say this once upon a time. I remember.
I said this to you. So we're the kvater.
Yeah.
We're the kvater. I love that marshal. And that's what we are. Sorry, I'm not sure what we were talking about. No, you were telling me the point of our place.
Yeah, I'm saying, I mean, what more? We're there to provide a safe space, and it's not just therapy and it's relationships. It's a fun place to hang out. It's trips.
Right.
It's connection,
And what's the goal? Why do we need to give these guys this place? I'm putting you on the spot here, Like he's like, I don't know. Fun?
Is there a test at the end of this? No, I'm saying the goal at the end of the day is to get these guys healthy, regardless of where they need to be healthy in.
Right.
We want to get them to a position where they're able to be part of, society, feel happy and healthy and be mentally healthy, which we know today is a crazy important thing,
right.
And if they need their physical, let's say they need a house to move into or a new location, or they need a job or all these other things, our job is to help them in that if we can. Whether it could be substance abuse counseling, it could be getting a guy a job, it could be, it could be finding a guy a place to live.
I love this new program that you guys came up with.
Yeah.
With tell me about that.
The business
with the
speaker.
business speaker.
Yeah, this is awesome.
That speaks to this a little.
This is awesome. So, I think it was our idea. It could have been my idea. I don't.
I'm going to give you the idea, even though it was mine.
I don't think so. Now that I think about this, once you're taking credit for it, I'm like, no, I was trying to make you feel good here.
Not making you feel good. It's totally my idea. I do this with my wife all the time. I never get any ideas at the end.
So with me, you get the idea.
No, I usually lose the idea.
It doesn't matter whose idea it is. The point is that we're excited about this.
I want to tell you, a great leader makes every one of the people who they're leading think that's their idea.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing with you.
Oh. This is training in the process.
So, it's your idea. You're very smart.
Oh,
okay,
go on. It was your idea. Anyways. So this idea is that we get from businessmen to talk to these guys about their work, about what they do, their first deal if they're in real estate, how they're running a nursing home, if they're in, e-commerce or investing. I mean, most of our guys, some of them who are in school and some of them who want to go and get GEDs and go to college, by getting this extra, like colleges have this all the time, right? They have a symposium where they bring this big businessman. Warren Buffett is coming to talk to you about how he made his first millions, right?
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, well.
He's so cool.
He is pretty cool. Yeah, but so by us doing this, we're basically giving them a head start.
Right.
Why wait till college? Why wait till this? What if you don't want to go to college? What if you want to do real estate? What if you want to, investment bank, become an investment banker or invest in stocks?
I love this so much because there's so many things we're trying to get the teenagers to want to strive for. But I found the one thing that I have found that almost all teenagers agree with us on,
money,
is they'd love to be rich one day.
Yeah.
And we'd love them to be rich one day.
Of course.
We'd love them to be successful financially, and they would love it. So this to me is like the meeting of the minds. I love that.
Yeah, and it's to them. It's also, I think, it's bringing somebody who, a lot of these guys work hard and they have busy schedules, and you bring somebody who's doing hard work and being successful, and then he's just a regular guy. He's not a mental health worker. He's not in that field. He's not a doctor. He's not in anything. And he just comes and he spends time and he talks to them and he tells them, hey, listen, I made this mistake, and whether he'll talk about it or not, but I made this mistake when I took this deal, and I never should have invested in this company. And when I invested in this company, I never thought in a million years it would make me this amount of money. And it's just that extra time that they give also mean a lot to the guys.
Right.
Besides for the advice. And they get to go out and get a great meal somewhere.
That's
in the process.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, totally flip around. Why you decide to become a social worker? Let me hear your story.
You want the full story?
No, tell me a fake story that you made up for podcasts.
I visited an impoverished country.
Yeah. No, what's the story, man?
So I came home from Israel during the height of Corona. Right at the beginning after Purim. And I did my degree right away. I had gotten yeshiva credits. I took some tests in Israel. Classic to get credits. It's like a small college in Israel, whatever.
Right.
And afterwards, I was sort of thinking about what am I going to do? And I actually owe a lot of credit to my parents. So I owe my parents credit for a lot of things, but
like everything.
Like everything.
Okay.
But I'm saying especially for this. I mean, I was thinking about going for accounting, and none of it excited me.
Wait, can I stop you for a second? Parents are going to listen to this podcast. Can you say something wonderful about your parents right now?
My parents
Then you can tell me more.
Yeah, my parents are, besides for being the people who raised me and being tremendously caring and warm people, they have led me in the right direction and supported me in my decisions. And given me the ability to be where I am today. And I don't just mean with putting a roof over my head and putting me through school, but I mean every step of the way, advice, helping me out with things. I mean, I'm blessed with being able to have people that I can trust and help me make the right decision. You know, like you said, I'm 23.
Well, I'm going to tell you, there's a reason I asked you to do that.
Yeah.
because first of all, a lot of people you see going into the field suffered a lot of trauma in their life and dealt with a lot of hardships. I'm not saying you didn't,
Right.
but a lot of those hardships are very often like related to their parents and their upbringing. And
Yeah.
Every time I've ever heard you mention your parents, it's always in a positive light, and it's so special. That I didn't think I was going to do that, but I actually really, sometimes I'm so deeply in the muck, and I'm always talking about this. It's like I'm so deeply in that I don't think there's any awesome, amazing parents anymore.
Right.
Meaning, like, there are, obviously, and I work with them, and
Right.
but everybody's struggling and this, and it's harder, and but like
Right.
to hear someone and to be at your age and be like, hey, listen, and I'm sure you're not like oblivious to your parents' faults and stuff, but you believe that your parents are wonderful and they've been wonderful to you. So I wanted to say that because I think I needed the boost. I like hearing that they're just some wonderful parents.
Well, that was important to me as well, because I guess I could be taking them for granted. And I always think about a lot of times when I'm making phone calls for, and working together with parents, and sometimes just like, and I, like you said, in the muck, what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, come on, like we had this conversation about a certain yeshiva we wanted, with one of the guys, right?
Right. We wanted to send one of the guys to a yeshiva. Okay.
Right. And we were having this conversation, and I was just like, I want to bang my head against the wall. You know what I'm saying? Because he's gonna end up there.
Right.
But because of the, I'm busy breaking things here.
That was cool.
But that's, I guess it also that thank you for that, because now I sort of had like a refreshed, even I take them for granted, and now that you gave me the opportunity to talk about that, but
It's good.
but yeah. So anyway, so I'm sitting and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do,
Right.
and I don't know what came up. So genetic counseling, like a mental health counselor, and then I was talking to some people, and they said social work is like sort of like middle of the road. There's so much you could do with it, and I love. I don't want to sound cliche, but you know me. I love talking to people. I love people talking to me. I love hearing about people, and I'm just somebody who always wants to help, wants to be a part of something bigger, and it just seemed like the right direction, because it's something that, and especially with this population of adolescents, which I'm sort of, really loving working with right now, but the ability to be a part of somebody's life and help them, regardless of how we do it, right? If we're a therapist, then, through therapy, and in our situation, it's through being a mentor and having a relationship with them. And there are other parts of social work that have to do with that as well. But the ability to be with another human being and have that ability to see the rawness and the just a person who they are,
Right.
and be a part of their journey. Shout out Kiwi here.
All right.
Yeah.
2 shout-outs in one
I
podcast.
know. Yeah, well, this
It's
was,
so cool because, first of all, okay, before, I say first of all a lot, but I'm pulling back because all the time you're like in shock that me and Kiwi are brothers.
yeah, this is very true.
It's constant. With me, I have a lot of intelligent and wonderful things to say, but you got to like pry it out of my brain.
Right.
I'm not willing to just give it up easily. Kiwi just spouts wisdoms
Yeah,
the whole time. You're like, I don't understand. And he's all professional and like,
I still remember when you took over that class when Kiwi wasn't able to be there,
yeah.
and you got in, and like all my classmates are like, we're all talking about like vulnerability, and you're like, everybody stop being vulnerable for 5 minutes. I know this is Kiwi's class.
Did I say that?
Yeah, it was very funny. You're like, I know this is Kiwi's class, but we're not going to be vulnerable tonight.
Let's learn something.
Yeah. So he always.
That was fun doing that
That
class.
was a great class. I got to introduce you as well.
Yeah.
That was off the cuff.
Off the cuff.
That was a great introduction.
It was.
I will give myself a pat on the back for that
You
one.
should.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. So Kiwi was talking about one time, he was quoting Yalom, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or in some sort of thing. And I always look to this sort of allegory for describing therapy. And we as social workers, therapists, mental health workers, we're like Sherpas. You know, like the guys who help you climb up Mount Everest. Like,
also don't get the credit.
what? Oh, they also don't get the credit, right? They
Kavato could be also a Sherpa,
right? That's a great thing.
It's another good.
We don't get Sherpas don't get credit. They climb Mount Everest 8 times a year.
Yeah,
you don't see Sherpas in world.
They
record
go up
books.
to the top, they come back down, they take another guy out.
Right, exactly.
Right.
They can't. They don't even go back for more rations. They're just like, all right, next billionaire wants to climb Mount Everest. We're all right. Let's go.
The Sherpa's like, can I please come to the top? No, you stay there, 10 feet down.
Yeah, there's been like a Nepalese flag stuck in the top of Mount Everest for decades, but nobody takes a picture of it.
Oh, nobody cares.
Yeah. So like we're that Sherpa that like we're there to be along on the journey, you know, and it's the beauty of the journey and it's the difficulties of the journey, but we're there.
Right.
And that's really why I guess I went into this. You know, I don't think I had a really happy childhood. And I guess people always tell me like all the time, like, you know, especially with the, you know, the book, The Drama of the Gifted Child.
Yeah.
Kiwi's favorite book, one of his favorite books.
You mentioned Yalom and that book. All right.
Yeah. Still fresh out of school, so this stuff is still
got it.
And Alice Miller's like not modus operandi, but her like magnum opus is that like as therapists we have to have had some sort of traumatic childhood or something like that. The golden boy, and like I tend to think about things, and I had a happy childhood, and I had loving siblings, and I mean I've had things in my life. I'm not gonna say like, you know,
right.
I've had a totally golden life, you know, but like I love the work. I love doing this, and you know I don't think that everybody who has had some sort of negative in their life automatically becomes a therapist, and everybody who's only had a good life doesn't become a therapist.
Right.
It doesn't become a social worker. I think you just have to have that sort of nature that you love working with people and you want to help and you want to be a part of something bigger than just, and not to knock other professions, but you want to be part of other people's lives and you want to help change them for the better.
I was actually, when people say not to knock other people's professions, I was like, which other professions are we not knocking?
Right. We're pretty much knocking like accounting,
knocking all
business,
of it.
everything. Basically saying that if you want to save the world, become a social worker.
Become a social worker.
Yeah.
I have to go back to what makes me want to be a social worker, but it's been a long time. But I could say this, Our Place, the experience I've had over these years is we're the last social workers. What I mean by that is that everybody else becomes a social worker, and they're a social worker for graduation. The next day, they're a psychotherapist.
Right.
And they're doing therapy and this.
Right.
Our Place, we're advocates, we're community
everything.
organization, where we do the therapy, we do it all.
We were many
We help
hats.
them find, we help them find housing and food and clothes and
Jobs.
and therapy and everything in the middle. So
Right.
I feel like we're the last social workers.
The last real, the way it was intended to be, I guess you could
Right.
say. Like
Professional helpers, they were.
we wear many hats. And
Which is
in Our Place
fun, no?
especially. It is, because we could be playing pool, you know, shooting some pool with a guy, and then we're just having a conversation about like he's struggling in school and hey, you know, some this and this is going on in his life.
Right.
And I think the beauty in that, by the way, and I'm sure this is one of the reasons why we have all of this, and
Yeah.
is that sitting in a room sometimes in a therapy session, it's great and it affords the quiet and the place to have a session and to talk about these things. But sometimes just playing Xbox or shooting pool with somebody, when it's sort of like you're disarmed, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's a much more comfortable, and things can flow better. You can have a conversation, a legitimate, serious conversation. Let's say everybody's watching a football game and everybody's on playing, you know, FIFA, and the two of you, and it's a loud, busy thing, but you're having a legitimate conversation with
It's like
somebody.
a little bubble.
Yeah. The cone of silence, to quote Get Smart, 1960s. You ever watch that TV show?
I mean, he did it in the new one also.
It wasn't as good, though. I don't know if you watched the old one.
The Cone of Silence is very funny. I never watched the old one, but I like Carell. What's his name?
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell.
Like Allegory.
I know who Steve Carell is. He's the guy from The Office.
Yeah.
Okay, so I ask most people this. You have a forum. What do you want to say? What do you want to say to the world? might not be on another podcast for the rest of your life. No, I'm kidding. Hopefully, it'll be on many podcasts and radio shows, TV shows, and all that. But there are people. I will tell you right now, there are 39 countries listening.
Wow.
And 640 cities last time I checked. So there's a lot of people out there. I get very excited when I get a new city and a new country.
Spotify updates you, or?
Yeah, I get updated by all of them. It's so much fun. Like
But
the
see,
cities keep adding fast.
Yeah.
Countries are a little slower.
But see, by the way, I think this is the answer. What you
Yeah.
were saying before about finding that thing, as a social worker now, being so many years in advance, so you're finding other ways to touch people in a sense, to change their lives. And that's the part of being a social worker, and that's part of also sort of connected to our place, is that it doesn't have to be in a session. It doesn't have to be in a therapy room. It could be in a podcast where just a simple conversation with somebody, and with the 25 different people. I don't know how many people you've done in total, but that could be a thing as well. That's something that could be, a difference.
Well, I gotta tell you, it's so much fun for me. I love doing it. It happens to be Saturday night. You told me let's do this Saturday night. I was like,
Well, the sushi helped.
I just want, and you told me to bring in sushi, so I came, but I was not up for, because I get to chill with my wife on Saturday night, which is super fun, and everybody knows that that's my top priority. I don't have to keep flaunting it to the world.
It's been said tonight many times.
Yeah, but I really enjoy the podcast, and I can't wait. I'm going to go on videos soon. It's very exciting. I'm a little nervous about the video because maybe I got to wear normal shirts.
I was going to say, you've been wearing the same shirt.
I wear this shirt over. I have two.
I hope you have more.
I have two of these.
Okay, better.
So I can wear these up to 4 times a week.
Well, now you're getting new Our Place merch, though.
I need more T-shirts.
So we're going to do T-shirts.
Because, I need more T-shirts because I love T-shirts, and all of them are Our Place.
Right.
Oh, now we're getting Our Village stuff, too. So
now,
That's
but
cool.
you can't come to Our Place wearing Our Village stuff.
Sure
I'm
can.
joking.
I come to
I'm
Our
joking.
Village.
We
at the
are
Our
all one together. We love each other.
That's true. Both growing really fast. It's super fun.
It really is. And to be here, by the way, is really, really cool, actually.
Yeah, you've never seen it before.
Yeah, no. And I get to see, who your other protege, what he's doing here.
And you get to see how much nicer my office is here.
Well, that's why we're going to change the office.
That's
in our
right.
place.
We share that office. So
On live air.
on live air, share that office. What you were Miller saying, and we cut you off, is that great lesson that you have for the world. Some great message that you think of. Could be a pet peeve also.
I don't know if I don't consider myself to be an overly intelligent or, whatever person that I think can change the world with one thing. But I like what we talked about before when because that gets me excited when I talk about the smiling per se, or people, I always like to think of myself as somebody who's I'm pretty much always in a good mood, or I'm always, exuding positive vibes. That's the word this generation, vibes. You give off good vibes.
Right.
I think that you can really change and you can help somebody just with them getting a good vibe off of you. If you're giving off good vibes, if you're in a good mood, if you're excited about the work that you do, that changes things on a total perspective. I mean, I feel like that was also the theme of what we were talking about tonight a lot.
Yeah.
Especially like we were talking about listening, cocking your head to the side and, focusing in and smiling and being present in what you're doing.
Right.
I think that just like being present, being a positive person can really, really make a difference. It's the smallest thing in the world. Just walk in. I mean, when you come downstairs to our place, right? There's no such thing as giving you a handshake or a high five, whatever. It's a hug. That little thing.
I do love how all the staff is the same. It's the same thing here in our village, in our place. It's like all the staff feels like a family in itself.
Yeah.
Like a family within a family.
Those little
I get a lot of
things.
knocks about this. I'm going to tell you, I did a lot in the world. When I see this, it makes me feel really, really good that we created something so beautiful as our place, our village, the living room, all those places.
Yeah. It's tremendous to be part of this, culture.
It's wild. Anyway, listen, shout out to your parents. Thank you for making an awesome guy here.
Yeah.
Never did some serious shout outs to parents before that. That was
yeah,
a lot of fun. I hope your parents enjoy that.
Yeah, is that like a cool thing?
Dude, if
First shout out to parents.
if my kids were on a podcast and they talked as nicely as you did about me, I'd be glowing, man.
Oh.
That would be really amazing. Yeah. Although I do plan on, I don't know if people want to text me if this is a good idea, but we were thinking for a perm thing.
Yeah.
My daughter is going to act me. Because she has a thing that she says. Every time I try to say something new to her, she's like, I know everything you've ever thought or said. I know all your ideas.
All your imparted wisdom.
Nothing you say I don't know already. So we're going to do an episode where she's just going to be me and answer all my questions the way I would answer them. And I think I will die because it'll be so funny. But it's true. Like, I'm about to say, like, the deepest wisdom, and she's like, I already know that. You already told me
You
that.
can try.
I'm like,
you can try
but
Dumbledore.
but I have so much more to say to you. She's like, no, you said it all. It's all been said in triplicate. Anyway, thanks for coming, man. It was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Thank you for this day that I've been given. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this chance. Thank you for this chance to live anew.